Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming and attending the Zoom meeting about the potential renaming of Stumptown Park. My name is Howie Lavender. I'm the chair of the Matthews Parks Recreation and Cultural Resource Advisory Committee. I have to read that when I say it. What's going on tonight is just a couple of general ground rules, and then I'd like to introduce you to the members of both the Park and Rec Advisory Committee, and Doug Rose from the Matthews Veteran Advisory will introduce you to his folks. This really is not a pro-veterans or anti-veterans issue. It's not a pro-history or anti-history issue. People of good faith may or will have reasonable differences of opinion. We don't expect a problem, but we'd ask you to use decency in language. When commenting, if you violate the standards, we will give you a warning and give you a chance to go back. If you continue to violate standards, you'll be cut off. We've never had to do it, but I just thought it would probably be good to let you know. I'd like to introduce the members of my committee. I'm going to introduce them out of the order they're showing up on my Zoom screen. We have Sandy Lee. Sandy, you want to just... Tara Van Genderen, Scott Rossmile, Susan Chambers, John Gatlin, Ryan McLatchie, and we did have Debbie Chopas here, but she apparently has dropped back out. So she should be joining us soon. Doug, if you'd like to introduce or give a little bit about the members of your committee. You're muted, Doug.
Thank you. We are currently 10 members strong. I'm recently the new chairperson who took over for Tom Cannon this past December. On our team, we also have Larry Stawicki, who was the vice chairman. We have Jack Santanilio, who was our treasurer, and we have Charlene Thompson, our secretary, along with the other members. And I'll get into the rest of my speech a little bit later. Thank you.
Thank you. The way the meeting is going to run is I'm going to explain the rules for the meeting rather quickly. Then Hazen Blodgett, our town manager, is going to explain a little bit about the town policy for renaming parks and how that's done. Doug Rose is going to share with you the Matthews Veterans Advisory Committee views or view on this issue, and they're going to be considering this also. Corey King, who's here somewhere, director of Matthews Park and Rec, is going to share a little bit of a history of Stumptown Park and the Park and Rec Department's position on the potential renaming or the petition to rename. Also earlier, Mark Tafano, who was the petitioner asking for the name change, and I don't know if he's in the queue otherwise. If he's here again, we will give him another opportunity to speak and explain it before the rest of public comment. If not, he did get a chance to talk at our 4 to 6 o'clock meeting earlier.
He did. He is here, Howard.
Okay, great. So we will give him a chance to do his thing again. Yeah. Thank you. As most of you looking at the list are very familiar with this, but in case you haven't done it before, it's a Zoom format. Ms. Canapino will keep you kind of on the sidelines until it's your turn to talk. When she brings you in, you really need to remember to turn your camera on and turn your mute off. And when you begin she will give you a countdown clock of 4 minutes. So when you're talking, you will see that countdown clock. We'd ask the speakers to give their name and address prior to beginning the comments. If they're comfortable, we're not going to require it. If anyone is unable to share comments with us tonight, you can send written comments on a citizen input form at matthewsnc.gov/Stumptown through January 30th, 2021. When this meeting is, neither of the committees here tonight are going to be expressing any opinion or making any decision about what the recommendation would be right now. The plan is to discuss the matter at the next Matthews Park and Rec Advisory Committee regularly scheduled meeting, which is February 10th, 21 at 6:30, and will be available on Zoom. Information should be on the town website. At that point, a recommendation may be made. Matthews Veteran Advisory Committee will be involved in that, and we plan on sending a recommendation up to the mayor and town council. At that point, it will end up at some point on the town council agenda, and they will vote on what to do with the issue. Hazen, you want to explain a little bit about the general process of how we got here and how to rename a park? Or
Thanks, Howie. Again, my name's Hazen Blodgett. I'm the town manager in Matthews, and I'm happy to be a part of this. Kind of a bit of a history. Back in the summer and into the fall, the American Legion Post 235 made significant improvements to the Veterans Memorial area, and they did a great job, and the town is greatly appreciative of all the hard work. In the fall this year, I'm not sure exactly when, but it was the idea to rename Stumptown Park to Stumptown Veterans Memorial Park was put forward. And the town does have a renaming facility process. It's pretty prescriptive, it kind of lays everything out. But also in the opening paragraph, it says the town board can vary from the policy, and one of its options is to just make a motion to name or rename a park. However, I think in great prudence, the board said, well, let's get the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee in particular, get their feedback. And so that's where it is right now. It's in the hands of Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. And then obviously you guys are going to deliberate, and then it'll come back to the board. I guess we're hoping in February or early March, so that the board can take your recommendation and deliberate and make a final decision.
Thank you, Hazen. Doug, you want to talk a little bit about the Matthews Veteran Advisory Committee view or position on this?
I will, thank you. Okay, first of all, I'd like to reintroduce myself. I'm Doug Rose. I'm a fairly new resident of the town of Matthews. We've just been here over a year. I am the new chairperson for the Matthews Veterans Advisory Committee, also called MVAC. I am honored, along with Larry Stawicki, the vice chairperson, to lead this committee in representing and voicing matters of interest from our service members, veterans, and families to the town of Matthews. With regards to renaming of Stumptown Park to the Stumptown Veterans Memorial Park, we have received many emails supporting and requesting the name change. MVAC invited the Parks and Recreations Department to our December 2020 meeting. Corey King and Howie Lambert briefed us on the history of Stumptown Park. We also discussed the renaming of the park. Corey enlightened us that not only was there a proposal to rename the park, but plans to consider other locations for a Veterans Memorial Park. So tonight we're here to gather with the Parks and Recs to listen to your voices. Please know that the MVAC is not the group that will make the decision to rename the park or decide on another location. However, we will, in collaboration with the Parks, Recreations, and Cultural Resource Committee, take your input and forward our recommendation to Mayor John Higdon and the town of Matthews. Whatever the outcome, I would like to express MVAC's appreciations to the Hooks and Oar American Legion Post 235 for their Herculean effort in restoring the Matthews Veterans Memorial Park at Stumptown Park. Thank you, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Doug. Corey King, Director of Parks and Rec, you want to explain a little bit about Stumptown Park and the town's and the department's position on the renaming issue?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Corey King, Director of the Matthews Parks and Recreation Department, shortened version of our department name. I'll say, being a part of the town of Matthews for the past 20 years, you do think I thought I knew everything there was to know about Stumptown Park. And I'll say this exercise did give me a chance to dig a little deeper and, of course, get a little more information about the park and actually Matthews as a whole. So Stumptown Park, how did this park get its name? So in the early 1800s, of course, this area was primarily woodlands. Early settlers were farmers. They cleared land to grow their cash crops. In this case, it was mainly cotton. And as you can imagine, with clearing the land, Stumptown became the name of this community. As it was found out, it's a little easier to cut the tree than it is to actually remove the stump. And of course, in 1879, Matthews was incorporated as Matthews. Fast forward to 1989. So this was a time when the town really felt that many of its historic buildings and amenities were being lost. The Cotton Gin is one example. There was a movement to save a lot of the history of Matthews, and what this translated into was saving buildings such as the Reed House and the Matthews Community Center to simply preserve the history of Matthews. There was a proposal on the table to build a shopping center in what is known now as Stumptown Park, much like what's across the street at, I believe, is Griffin Square. The town saw this. They actually went forward to negotiate with the owner, and the town purchased the property to create a park. And Stumptown Park was the name selected in honor of the town's earlier name and the history of this community. So, hey, the image you see is Stumptown Park as we know it today. You can fast forward a little bit. One slide, Lori. This is the existing footprint. There are plans to expand. You can next slide. Sorry, before we expand, a couple of additional pictures of the lovely Stumptown Park. Okay, now you can go to the next one. So this is what an expanded Stumptown Park could look like. It would, of course, require acquisition of a couple of more parcels of property. Essentially the entire block, except for the businesses that front John Street. You can fast forward one slide. Okay, so in thinking about what Stumptown Park could look like, this was a presentation shown to the town board in 2018. Our team did some research on what successful downtown parks look like. Found 7 essential themes of, again, what successful parks in your downtown function is. You can scroll to the next one. Certain amenities that you would expect in a downtown park, but then also some of the things that we wanted to, say, make unique to Matthews. Certainly the art, the history, opportunities for education, recreation, the whimsical, artistic, attractive features, and I guess another, tangential relationship is the how closely the park is relative with transportation and access. The recent improvements to the Veterans Memorial certainly was a great project. That partnership was a win-win, a win for the park and certainly a win for the entire Matthews community. Staff does feel that there should be some additional signage, improved identification, for this area within the park, but we do believe the park name should remain as Stumptown. One reason is, adding Veterans Memorial to Stumptown Park, does it do justice in terms of recognizing veterans in the way that it should? Facility naming, the name means something. And in part, the value is name recognition and actually verbalizing the words. There is a strong regional brand recognition for Stumptown Park. There's 30 plus years of activities. We've mentioned before Matthews Alive and a lot of different things that I guess synonymous with Stumptown Park. And it is my expectation that the name or the reference at least would continue to be Stumptown Park. I also see the combination as a certain level of dilution of both efforts. Diluting the effort to preserve the history, of Matthews, and also this effort to recognize veterans in this combination name. Another point is recognition of veterans is not just limited to this one space. There is a Veterans Memorial Plan for Purcell Halsey Park, and there are also plans and ideas for art, murals, and other forms of art celebrating veterans throughout Matthews in a number of different spaces, and not just within Stumptown Park. There are long-range plans for the park. Like I said, plans are not finalized. You can advance the slide, Lori. So this is one conceptual drawing that we showed the town board, and they were very receptive to it. You can see the reorientation of the stage, some improvements to some other spaces within the park, additional playground, expanded playground, volleyball, and some other things that would just enhance the look of the park. If you can move to the next slide. And so this is the money shot. This is the bird's eye view of what Stumptown Park, or the vision for what Stumptown Park could look like. It could essentially be our central park, right here in Matthews. I'll say once planned, I guess it could raise a question, is Stumptown Park still the best location for an enhanced Veterans Memorial? And that simply is a question. Thinking about a Veterans Memorial, the somber, quiet space where visitors reflect and appreciate, the sacrifice of those that served, is within the Veterans Memorial area at the northern edge of the park. Where Stumptown Park as a whole, it is very event driven, celebration type downtown park facility. So another question is, will members of the community be disappointed as events and other activities continue to grow in the park? I do see potential to be an expectation in terms of what should take place in the park and what should not, potentially, and our ability to meet those expectations, given the type of park that Stumptown is. I do think let me back up. I am strictly talking about expectation. I guess the potential conflict comes into play if there are plans for a park that do not meet, again, those expectations of any group, if there is any, name change. Again, staff does believe that the park name should remain Stumptown, with additional signage to honor the veterans and recognize the work recently completed in the park. If naming of a park facility is the method chosen to recognize veterans, I do believe that creation of a Veterans Memorial Park as an original designation of a new park is the most effective way to do so. And that's all I got.
All right, Corey, just so the folks listening understand it, as we understand it, we have three potential options here. One is rename the park as Matthews Veteran Memorial Park. Two would be not to rename it at all. And if that case, option 3 would be some sub-designation of the Veterans Memorial within Stumptown Park. Just so you're aware of what's out there on the table for us to talk about. Now, Mark Tofano, who's the petitioner, aren't here, nor did he get a chance to address his comments to some of the members of the public that are only at the second meeting. So we're going to give Mark a chance to come on in and talk about why he's in favor or file for this petition change.
Am I up, Corey?
Yeah, you're on, Mark.
Okay, very good. Hello, my name is Mark Tofano, and I reside at 259 South Trade Street in Matthews. And I'm speaking in support of adding 2 words, Veterans Memorial, to the name of Stumptown Park. Thanks to the foundations laid by the Rotary Club nearly 30 years ago and the magnificent restorations led by town volunteers and donors, veterans now have a place of dignity to which they can be remembered and honored. The naming of a public facility to honor veterans is long overdue in Matthews. There is not a more deserving place for this to occur than in the heart of the town of Matthews. Matthews claims to be a veteran-friendly town, a Purple Heart town. It's time to show that this is more than just words. In the remaining time I have left, I'd like to address some of the comments that I have heard over the past few days about concerns in adding these 2 words. The first concern is that having the park named Stumptown Park, Veterans Memorial Park, would change its purpose, but that's not the intent at all. In no way will the purpose change with the name change. The name has really nothing to do with what's going to occur there. The things we all enjoy, the concerts, the Matthews Live, the Food Truck Fridays, and the list goes on, they will continue to occur. The name of the park has really of little reference to that. The second concern is that the Parks and Recreation Department has plans to have veterans memorials in other parks, specifically Purser Halsey. The Parks and Recreation Master Plan that's currently on the town website makes reference to the word veteran only once in the entire document, and that's under the section for Stumptown Park. There's no discernible plans for Veterans Memorial at any other park. No funding is well allocated, no approved architectural drawings, just absolutely nothing. The next concern is that volunteers cannot do work on a public facility and then ask for the facility to be named after them. This is not the case here at all, and we're asking the park to include the words Veterans Memorial. We're not asking the park to be named after any numerous volunteers or organizations or businesses that have donated material and time to the project. They devoted their time and energy purely out of love for veterans and for no personal gain at all. Finally, there's some concern about the word veteran violating historical aspects of the name of Stumptown Park. Yes, Stumptown Park is an historical name and one we should be proud of. However, veterans were dying for this country over 100 years before the word Stumptown Park ever passed anyone's lips. It doesn't get more historical than that. Now, I'm going to deviate right now from what I had printed and read. I think it's important that I talk to you from the heart right now. And I want to tell you why we are here tonight talking about this. I took over as commander of the American Legion Post early this year, and one of my first duties was to perform the Memorial Day ceremony on May 25th. It came time to lower the American flag in order to honor those that have fallen, but we couldn't because the American flag was tattered and torn and encased within a tree that had grown around the flagpole. The area that was designated as theoretically as the Veterans Memorial that was put there by the Rotary Club a number of years ago had been left to literally decay to an absolutely disgraceful state. But we couldn't even lay the wreath in front of the memorial wall because there was nothing but dirt and mud there. The names on the wall were so encased with algae that you could not even read some of the names. As spokesperson for over 350 veterans, I just could not allow this to stand. It was then at that moment I said something had to be done about this Veterans Memorial area. And with the unanimous consent of the mayor and the town commissioners, they gave us permission to restore the Veterans Memorial. And I think we did it in a way that is absolutely stupendous. We did it without using any town funds at all. The money was raised totally from town residents and veterans and businesses like Lowe's and Home Depot and Site One and Carolina Brick and a number of other businesses in town, Mac's Speed Shop, the taverns in town, the Seaboard Brewery, etc. They all gave time and money and energy in order to make this happen. This was not anything less than an entire town-wide effort. So that's why we're here tonight. We're here to discuss how to honor veterans in a dignified, enduring, and significant way. You know, the only real winner here tonight is veterans themselves, because we've said the word veterans more in the last couple of weeks than we said in the last 2 decades. This town has ignored veterans for so long. Anything that happens in this town in terms of the Memorial Day ceremonies or the Veterans Day ceremonies, those are all done by the American Legion Post. There's really nothing that has been done in this town to truly honor veterans in an enduring way. We're surrounded by towns which we consider to be far less blessed than we are, who have taken the time and energy to do so, to put together areas of parks, to name parks after veterans, to give them the proper respect and admiration that they deserve. So now you know why we're here tonight, and I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak from my heart. And I'm just asking all of you just to open up your hearts and minds and just reconsider and put these two very, very important words into the name of Stumptown Park, Veterans Memorial. It would mean so much to so many people. So thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to talk to you.
Thank you, Mr. Tufano. Ms. Canapino, whenever you're ready, if we can get to the first public speaker, that would be great.
Our first public speaker is going to be Jim Taylor. Give him just a moment to get over. Okay. Need to go.
All right, Lori, can you all see me first of all? We good?
We're good.
Waiting for the timer.
One moment. Okay, go ahead.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity. I'm Jim Taylor. I live at 2709 Kirkholme Drive in Matthews. I've lived here for over about 35 years. I have served 23 years on town council and 8 years as mayor of the best town in all of North Carolina. I've served on board of directors of multiple organizations within our community, including the Matthews Historical Foundation, the Matthews Alive, the Novant Community Health Alliance, Matthews Helping Matthews, and various others for almost 30 years. I mention this only because I believe it shows my level of engagement and involvement, support, and love for our community. I also have been awarded a citation of appreciation from the very same American Legion that is seeking this name change, thanking me for my support of their efforts over the many years. I also started the Matthews Veterans Advisory Committee while I was mayor of the town. I believe this shows that I have been a loyal supporter of our veterans as much, if not more, than anyone else. Just 2 words. They can change the look, feel, and atmosphere of an entire environment. Just 2 words. They can cause the loss of a significant historical reference and change the future outlook of a location within Matthews. Just 2 words. They're not needed or appropriate in this situation. But I've come with a possible compromise and solution, which you've heard earlier today as well. There is no need to change the overall name of Stumptown Park. It's the People's Park and used to bring the entire community together for fun and enjoyment of concerts, Food Truck Fridays, Beach Fest, Matthews Alive, and so much more. There is a historical significance to the name Stumptown, and while we have come a long way to have an official Tree City USA designation, the Stumptown name shows the progression and pride we all have in our history. The Veterans Memorial has been in place for many years, as we know, first being built by the Rotary Club in the early 1990s, shortly after the park was dedicated, and again with the addition of the wall from Peru in the early 2000s. And now the American Legion has done a wonderful job in improving the existing area, but that should not be a reason to change the name of the entire park. We should not change names, or we should not name or change names of public spaces based solely on who has done the latest improvements to the area. What about Hawk or the Carolina Trailblazers? Both organizations have spent countless hours and lots of money improving Squirrel Lake Park as well as Purser Hulsey Park. Should we be considering renaming those parks if they request a change? I say no. What about the next Eagle Scout that does their Eagle Project in one of our parks? We have many throughout our parks, and they provided wonderful additions to our parks. Should we rename based on that? I say no. I would suggest this. I would suggest the designation of an area within Stumptown Park be officially recognized as the Veterans Memorial Area and retain the current name of the park. This designation is well overdue and quite frankly should have been done years ago. The town should advertise and promote the area within Stumptown Park officially as the Veterans Memorial in future marketing material. The Matthews History Museum could add it to its walking tours, pamphlets, and other publicity. This would also recognize the American Legion and our beloved veterans for the wonderful gift of improving the existing park. Keep in mind that Stumptown Park is Matthews' version of Central Park in New York. Just 2 words, Stumptown Park. It's a place of excitement fun, festivals, parties, picnics, dog contests, weddings, birthdays, and yes, events for Memorial and Veterans Day. But it's much more than a memorial park. Please consider keeping the name and designating the area. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ms. Canapino, whenever you're ready, we can get the next speaker up.
The next speaker was going to be Chris Query, but he has had some technical difficulties getting on, so he sent me a message and that he would like to be read, and he says that he thinks the name should not change, that the park is for all residents of Matthews, and it is what Matthews was called before Matthews. Our next speaker is Becky Willard. One moment. All right, Becky, if you could turn your mic and camera on, you can start once you see the timer start. Okay, you may begin. Becky, you're still muted. Here.
Okay, I think I'm ready. I'm sorry.
That's okay. We can hear you now.
I'm failing at the Zooming.
That's okay.
I'm going to read my statement in essence of time.
Okay.
The town of Matthews and its history are very dear to my heart. My family settled the Matthews area before the Revolutionary War, and some of us have remained in the area today. My husband and I moved back to the area 32 years ago. At that time, I started volunteering for the Matthews Help Center. I have continued to volunteer for the town of Matthews over the years. I have been on the board of the Historical Preservation Committee, the Women's Club, and the Matthews Historical Foundation. I have remained very involved in the Matthews community. It is my heart. I am now Vice President of the Women's Club and President of the Matthews Historical Foundation. It is because of my dedication to the historical preservation of Matthews that I cannot support changing the name of Stumptown Park. It is our people's park. The name was the town's first unofficial name and harkens back to the very beginning roots of the town. It is a very much important part of our historical identity. When people are asked what they love about Matthews, on top of the list is the town's history and recreational activities. Many of these activities are held at Stumptown Park, fun activities. The expansion of the Veterans Memorial is a welcome addition. My husband is a veteran. However, renaming Stumptown Park is not justified or worthy of letting go of this part of our Matthews history. I am very much in favor of designating the area. I think that would be so nice, and I'm so appreciative of everything the American Legion has done. I've worked with the American Legion over many years with the Women's Club. So I'm asking you to please vote against renaming Stumptown Park, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Willard.
Okay, our next speaker is Lee Myers.
He just have to know what was the time when he finished.
All right, Lee, you may begin when you're ready.
Okay, can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
All right,
sir.
great. You know, when you turn 70 years old, you got to keep up with things. You got to know about Zoom. You got to be able to get your video and your audio, although you don't want to really see me, but I do want you to hear what I have to say. I'm Lee Myers. I live at 412 Charing Cross, Matthews, North Carolina, and I've lived there with my wife and my children since 1986. I came back to Charlotte, my hometown, Mecklenburg County, in 1976. I was born here. I graduated from East Mecklenburg High School. And let me tell you, I want to thank Howie. I want to thank the members of the Park and Rec Board for what they're doing and giving their time and dedication back to the town of Matthews. We need more people who are willing to step up and give of themselves and not ask, what can they get? Where can their name be on some plaque in Stumptown Park? That's not what we need, okay? We need people who are dedicated to the town of Matthews. Now, in the late 80s, I was on town council. I served on the Matthews Town Council for 4 years. During that time, we purchased that land, and it was controversial. Nobody wanted us to spend that money for a park. We don't need that. But we did it as a town council, and I'm proud to have served with people like Dave Bland, who made that point. We did that. We put it together. In early 1991, I took office as mayor, and the people of Matthews had trust and confidence in me for 18 years. I served 9 terms, and we preserved historical properties, things, and people in the town of Matthews. Stumptown Park is part of our history. Look around you. You don't have to walk, ride your bike, or drive your car very far to come to a park in the town of Matthews. We need to keep the name Stumptown Park. We were losing our history in the late 80s and early 90s. It was gone. We were going to become nothing but a suburb of the city of Charlotte. We said, no, we're not going to do it. You guys go to the community center. We saved it. The Matthews Community Center, Purser-Halsey Park, every park in town. We need to keep that name. Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to get out of hand here, but I am offended by the fact that somebody said we have ignored the veterans in Matthews in this call. That is absolutely false. It is disingenuous, and I take personal offense at that and my 22 years in town government, that we have done that. You know, at Novant Hospital, for 12 or 15 years, Roland Bebo and his crew put on a Veterans Memorial, and I attended every single one in my capacity as mayor and afterwards. But you know what? Some of these people who are behind this project never showed up. They were never there. They were never part of this. It's a matter of where can I get my name? I urge the Park and Rec Committee to do your job. Think about where this is coming from. Maintain the name Stumptown Park. Yes, we need the Veterans Memorial at Stumptown Park. One of my high school classmates, his name is on that Peru wall, and I'm proud of it, and I want to keep it there. No question about that. Do your job. Please don't divide our community. Many people on this call have known me the entire time that I served in office. They know what I'm about, what I have stood for during my 22 years in town government in Matthews. I don't need to sit here and tell you about that. Stand together. Don't be divisive. Look for what's going on and keep the history of the town of Matthews. Honor the veterans. Take our parks. We've got a lot of them, and honor our first responders, our police. And you know what? Honor our healthcare workers too. Thank you. Do a great job. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, our next speaker is Paul Bailey.
Good evening.
Hang on one moment, Paul, please.
Okay.
Sorry.
No problem. Do we have a full screen here?
We're going to share the timer in just a moment.
Okay.
Okay, now you can start.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Paul Bailey, 419 Neil Ridge Road, Matthews, North Carolina. I want to start out by saying I appreciate the Park and Rec Committee taking the time, both this afternoon and this evening, to allow us to have input to this name change request. I have lived in Matthews for 36 years. I was on the council for 20 years, 2 years as mayor, and 4 years as mayor pro tem. I do want to agree with Lee Myers in his comment. I am offended as well to the comment that Matthews does not recognize its veterans. This town is veteran friendly, always has been, and I think Lee pointed out the numbers of things that go in our town to honor our veterans. As Corey's presentation showed for Stumptown Park, it is a people-centric park. It's a park that we deemed at a planning conference, I remember, we called it our Central Park. It is a park for the people. It is a park for everyone to share, regardless of what activity they may be involved in, what they've done in their life, but we come together all as a community. The park has pleasurable opportunities for everyone. Community Park allows all citizens to participate, and we see the Veterans Memorial. We see benches dedicated to individuals, some memorial, some dedication. We've seen the naming of the stage after one of our great mayors. And we see public art throughout our park. All of this has occurred because the citizens have all had the opportunity to have input and to provide their view on what that park should be. And Corey has a plan that we did put together many years ago that shows the expansion. And I would love to see that someday. I may not, but I think that it would serve our town well to be able to stay on that path and drive towards making a large park in our downtown area so that everyone in our community can enjoy it. Now, I'd like to bring up as well that we do have a park, Purser Halsey Park. Mr. Purser was a World War II veteran. Mr. Pete Halsey was a World War II veteran as well, and I validated that this morning with a conversation with his son. Those individuals stand tall on the name of that park, and I think it would be wonderful for us to have parts of that park for our veterans so that they can be recognized in that park. And as was said earlier, we have parks all over town, and we spent years creating those parks, buying those properties. When there were opportunities to buy land, we purchased it. And it wasn't an easy thing to do, but we did that because we wanted Matthews to be a park town where people from our citizenry, even outside of Matthews, could come in and enjoy what we are as a town. And that is a town that raises up its citizens, raises up its veterans, raises up its Boy Scouts, raises up its children and its athletes and its education so that we might be the greatest town in North Carolina. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, our last speaker who signed up does not appear to be here this evening.
Okay, we had 4 speakers from earlier that didn't show. I'm just wondering if any of them are here now. That would be Mr. Henry, Mr. Balcom, Mr. Cantley, or Mr. Vincent.
None of them are, but Chris Query is here. I don't know if he needs another opportunity to speak for himself or if my relayed message was enough.
If Chris would like an opportunity to speak, or Mayor Query, excuse me, we'd certainly be happy to give him that opportunity.
All right, one moment, please. Chris, you have the ability to be heard now. If you would like to, you would have to turn your mic and camera on. We'll give you a moment to decide if you want to do that.
Okay, I think I'll do that.
Okay, give me just one moment. We'll put the timer on for you, okay?
Thank you.
Okay, you can begin when you're ready.
Okay. How you doing, everyone? I would like to just make a short message that I have been here for 80 years, and my great-great-grandfather was here, and we were here before the Civil War. And early on, it was called Stumptown because all it had was stumps around where they had cut trees for the steam engines. We lost that when we changed it to Matthews, which was the name of the fellow who was with the railroad company. And so we stayed with Matthews, which I think is a good name and should remain. But the bottom line is I think we need some reference to our original name. At one time, we had an old tree out there that had the name of Stumptown on it, and it finally rotted and went away. And so then we'd come up with the Stumptown Park, which I think has been a benefit to everyone. We have at least 2 or 3 pieces of land that we have not developed yet that have houses on them that we acquired for the park. And I think we need to enlarge it and make it our town park. And there's room there for everybody to have a part of it. I hate to tie it to one organization, but I would like to just go ahead and if you would, keep it the same and keep our heritage. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ms. Canapino, is there anybody else sitting in on this that might like to make comments since we've got some extra time tonight?
A quick comment, Howie. I think per the rules we set forth, anyone that spoke at the 4 o'clock meeting would not be able to speak at the 7 o'clock meeting. I'm not sure.
That is correct. I don't know if there's anybody new or who sat in on that and didn't speak would like an opportunity.
We do have someone who raised their hand, but they did speak at the prior meeting.
Okay.
If anyone else in the attendee list who didn't already speak would like to, please use the raise hand function on your Zoom controls. On my desktop version, it's at the bottom of the screen. It's a little yellow hand and it says raise hand. If you do that, I'll see you. Okay, it appears that no one else is requesting to be heard.
All right. Well, thank you, Ms. Canapino. As I mentioned before, we will take the oral comments as well as the written comments that have been submitted till now and can be submitted up to the last day of January in our hands and read them and talk about them at that meeting on February 10th at 6:30. I'd like to thank everyone for attending, all the members of the Park and Rec Advisory, the Matthews Veteran Advisory, Hazen Blodgett, Corey, and our speakers, which include 4 of our former mayors. I thank everyone for showing up, and thank you for, taking the time to share with us what you thought about this, because it's important. We really need to know what the community feels about this issue. So that pretty much covers it. Thank you all very much.
Now, another quick note, again, as Howie mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, we will continue to take comments through the citizen input form on the town website, matthewsnc.gov/Stumptown. And again, we're going to continue to take those comments through January 30th. So if you were not able to speak tonight, feel free to leave a message. Well, leave your comments through the form or contact me directly. Easy, CKing, CKING @matthewsnc.gov.
Well, thank you. I guess that ends our meeting, guys, especially the committees. Thanks, everybody, especially the folks who've been here both from 4 to 6 and now 7 on. Appreciate it. Have a good night, guys, and thank you.